Hey guys, one of our supporters sent a link to this story. So first of all, thank you to that person for sending it to us. We hadn't seen it yet, relatively new story apparently. So, there are 71 countries that have visa exemption agreements with Japan, which means people from those 71 countries can just buy a ticket to Japan, fly to Japan or come to Japan on a boat or however they want to come, and arrive in Japan, and usually they will be automatically granted a 14 to 90 day stay. So they just put a stamp in the passport, if they still do that. Not sure they still do that, might just be electronic now, but automatically they just give you 14 to 90 days stay, and you can stay, you don't need a visa. The only exceptions are that you can't have a criminal record or things like that, and you just asked for that. You asked to declare if you have a criminal record, and that's it. So that's very simple. And apparently America has a similar system where they have countries that can visit without a visa, and Australia has a similar system too. However, apparently America has a system called the esta, which is the electronic system for travel authorization. So the people from those 71 countries can visit the US without a visa, but they first have to apply online for this approval, right? Which starts to sound a lot like a visa, doesn't it? Right? It's sort of like a reverse visa. You can come with no problems providing we tell you can't come, which is sort of similar in effect to a visa, isn't it? So, as sometimes happens, we saw this with the postal system. Apparently the US has a similar system for posting, and the story is that it's supposed to help stop money laundering and terrorism, right? Right? And because apparently terrorists and money launderers don't declare it on there. I don't know. So because of that, Japan adopted that thing too, the postal one, and because of that, we stopped using Japan Post to send internationally. Because every time we wanted to send something internationally, we had to go on the internet first and fill out 3 pages of forms and then print them off and take them to the post office with the thing that we sent, and then fill out a couple more forms. So a ridiculous system. And also they hadn't ironed the bugs out of the English version on the internet, which meant that we had troubles every time we tried to do it. So we stopped using Japan Post for international postage. And now it seems like this esta system is very similar. But before I go on, you know what Japan called theirs? The American system's called the esta system, the electronic system for travel authorization. So Japan called theirs, like good lapdogs, the Japan electronic system for travel organization, or the jester, right? Which is getting lots of funny comments on the internet because obviously, you know, what clowns they are, the jester system. So it seems that the jester system is a little bit similar to that postage system where, you know, before you come, you've got to register online, and they want, it seems to be, you know, your personal information, why you're coming to Japan, and where you're going to stay when you come here, right? Which again, you know, the same as that thing with the post. They said the posting is going to help stop money laundering and terrorism, which why filling out 3 forms on the internet is going to stop money laundering or terrorism is ridiculous. And this seems to be similar. You know, you would assume that people who launder money or are terrorists are not honest, right? They're not going to tick that box on the form, right? Why are you coming to Japan? Terrorism, right? Laundering cash. I imagine they're not going to actually say that, are they? So if you look at the application form from a money launderer and terrorist, and you look at the form from just Joe Public coming to Japan to go skiing, you're probably going to find it's the same piece of paper. So it just seems absolutely pointless. The other argument that Japan government's using is that it's supposed to reduce overstayers, because apparently they have a problem with overstaying. Now there's a couple of points with that too. Of those 71 countries where, you know, that have the visa exemption, how many overstays do they get from Switzerland or from Australia even? You know, how many people are coming here on a 3 month exemption and then overstaying from Switzerland or Australia or Belgium or a lot of those other countries? No doubt. I mean, we know for a fact. I mean, Nagoya Immigration Centre has a detention centre on the first floor where they detain people that they've caught overstaying, or people people that have overstayed and have handed themselves in. So we know there's overstayers, but if you look at the countries on those 71, on the list of 71, I mean, most of the people who are spending big money to come to Japan and go skiing, you know, they've got to get back to their own country so they can earn some money to come again next year. You know, they're not the risk of overstaying, are they? The ones that come here for a ski holiday in Nagano, or, you know, one of the other tourists coming here for a holiday and then to go back again, you know. So it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And again, is it going to stop overstaying? I mean, all the people that are planning on overstaying have to do is fill out that form before they come. Why are you coming? The where are you staying thing, that's actually always been a question, or often been a question, that when you fill out the form, your arrival form, you know, it's sort of like anything to declare. It's sort of a customs and immigration form, and one of the questions on there is where you're going to be staying. And we know that some of the people that have come to visit us have asked us for our address when they filled out some form, you know, and this is in the past, because they were asked that they needed to say where they were going to stay when they were here, and they just put our address. And again, you can book a hotel for a couple of days, and when you first arrive, because you imagine overstayers are going to have somewhere to stay when they come anyway. They're going to stay in a hotel or somewhere, aren't they? So it just doesn't make any sense. The other thing you would have noticed in our title is it's not talking about, and this took a while to find too, it's not talking about being introduced until 2030. And I couldn't find that, because what usually happens on the internet with stories like this is they call it something like, you know, Japan to be more difficult for foreigners to visit, right? Which is probably what I'm going to call this video. But that's all they say. And then you read the story, it's like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And then, you know, oh no, I'm supposed to be going skiing there next year. Oh no, oh no. And then when you finally, most of them, when you look into it further, you find out they're not even talking about doing it until 2030. And all the articles I could find on it, which weren't a lot, but the articles I could find on it, only one of them said that. The rest of them didn't even mention when it might be brought in. So that's another good thing, is Japanese government does take a long time to bring in any new systems. So, you know, those of you who are coming in the next 5 years, don't worry about it too much. Not likely it's going to happen. And if it does, or when it does, it's not going to be a big deal. I mean, those forms for the post office, you know, it's not impossible. You just need to set aside, you know, 30 minutes of faffing. We just had bad luck. We know one of our friends who actually does a lot of overseas postage. He's had no problem with that postal system at all. But we just had trouble with it every time. It wouldn't let us log in, and we get in one of those loops where the English didn't seem to work, and we'd go back to the start again. You'd fill out a form and it'd take you back to the start again, and it was a pain in the neck. But our friend said he can do it all right. So if this system is brought in, it's just going to be another 30 minutes you've got to spend on your computer before you come. If you're a money launderer or terrorist, don't worry. Just as long as you've got a hotel to stay in when you arrive, don't tick the terrorist or money launderer box. Tell them you're just coming to go skiing or tourism, coming as a tourist, and you'll be fine. It won't stop you at all. Obviously, it's ridiculous to think that a couple of pieces of paper is going to have any effect on money laundering or terrorism, isn't it? There's a lack of logic. Unfortunately, we see this sometimes. We see Japan doesn't copy things from other countries they probably could, right? So some of the good things, we talked recently about education, you know, some of the things that they should copy from other countries when it comes to education, they don't, or mental health, they don't. The societal things usually they don't like to copy. But when it comes to nonsense like this, and because it gives me the impression of the Gardaman, you know, in Japan, if some Gardaman says, oh, abunayo, it's dangerous, everyone goes, oh, okay, right? And that's the way Japanese society works. Someone goes, abunayo, you know, the typhoon is coming, and everyone goes, oh, you know. And it's a little bit like that. Obviously, America has said, you know, oh, terrorism and money laundering, and if we fill out these forms on the internet, that'll help stop it. And Japan's gone, oh, okay, we should do that. So they haven't given it a lot of thought first, evidently. So there will be different opinions on this. Some people will think it's a fantastic idea and that every country should do it, and it's all part of the battle against money laundering and terrorism. Some people think that that's fine. As always, different opinions and different ideas are welcome, as long as they're not too insulting. As long as they're not insulting at all, preferably. Alright, that's enough of that. So yeah, look, that's coming. The jester system. Some guy juggling balls. The jester system is coming, but probably not. I mean, there's only one source said 2030, so we'll see. We'll see when it does actually come. If we hear any more updates on it, or if it looks like it's going to happen earlier, we'll let you know. But don't worry about it too much. I mean, it's still easier than a visa, probably. And if you can do it online, it's not such a big deal. You know, just a couple of pages, and off you go. In you come to do your terrorism and money laundering. you wicked people. All right, that's enough of that. More videos coming soon.